Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Cooking with Bear, number 2 this time. Today we're going to be doing a slightly more complicated recipe than the past two recipes. We're going to be doing a chocolate and chipotle porter chili. So again, the set of ingredients list isn't actually that extensive, but there's just going to be a little bit more blending of flavours and a few little more processes than just shoving things together and mixing them in a bowl, really. So I'm just going to take you around the ingredients and show you what we've got. So, what you're going to need today is you're going to need some onions, some garlic and some peppers. I've chosen to use green ones in this because I'm going to do a bit of a bittersweet one. Red peppers are obviously a lot sweeter and I want this one to be a little bit darker in flavour. And in terms of spice, I'm using a little blend there of smoked paprika, garlic, and I think it's thyme as well, and also a chipotle chili paste, which has also got paprika in too. I'm also going to use some kidney beans to give it a bit more body and flavour, some dark chocolate to kind of mix in and gives it a really rich and luscious taste. We've got a couple of different types of tomatoes. We've got obviously the fresh ones, which is going to give a bit more bite, and some chopped ones for the body. I'm also going to use some pureed as well, just to give it even more flavour, even more concentrated flavour. And this is a special umami paste, which contains most of the things you need to get a bit more meaty flavour, because I am, as you can tell with the vegetarian mince, vegetarian. So this fella has got, I think it's just kind of a mix like mushrooms and loads of different kind of earthy vegetables as well. I think there's more garlic in there, and there's more bits of chili. There is some miso paste as well, I believe. It's a Japanese one. I think this one's developed by, yeah, you can see just there, Nobu Matsuhisa, who owns the Nobu, the really famous Nobu Japanese restaurants. And the beer we're going to be cooking with today is from Marks and Spencer's, would you believe? It is a Greenwich Hospital Porter by the Meantime Brewing Company, which is brewed exclusively for Marks and Spencer's, and it is aged 4 months in Islay whiskey barrels to impart an oaky peaty notes. I got this one at Christmas time, but I never got myself into it, and it's a 750ml bottle, so don't worry, there should be a tasting of this going on later as well. Obviously porters and stouts have a much darker and maltier taste. This one should come through as being quite smoky, which I think would be a nice combination, mixed in with the chipotle chilies, which are obviously smoked themselves, and also a little bit of chocolatey note that will go well with the chocolate too. It's a real classic combination, this, and my recipe is not that complicated. If you want, you can change up any of the spices you like. I really like paprika, which is why there's loads of that in, and I really like garlic, which is why there's loads of that in as well. You can also put cumin, coriander, 1,000 other spices. You can make this into a more of an Indian kind of themed one if you want to do some garam masala or something like that. And my measurements are not going to be exact in this because cooking is organic. Don't follow a recipe. This is just about enough for 2 people when it's all cooked through, I would imagine, and more. So you know, you can use, I'm just using a tin of this, a tin of that, 1 pepper, 1 onion, 1 clove of garlic, some tomatoes, about half a bottle of, well, not even that, I think about a quarter of the bottle of the beer to kind of impart that flavour, and a pinch of this and a pinch of that from the spice cupboard. So, you know, mix it and match it, and we'll see where we go. While we're on the subject of my veggies that we're going to use, as you see, and I've already pre-sliced them, one of the things that I think makes a huge difference when it comes to the kitchen, and I really mean a huge difference, is a good quality knife. The one I'm using is a global knife. It's an anniversary edition one, which I was looking to pick up for quite cheap because it was 2011, I think, was the 50th anniversary, and they were trying to sell off the knives that they didn't manage to sell for the anniversary. As you can tell, it's got a fantastic grip on it. You're not going to slip or slide with it, and more importantly, unbelievably sharp. If you can keep them sharp by using something like this, in fact, which is next door to it, I've got a sharpening instrument here. I'm not entirely sure of the name actually. A sharpening steel anyway, I think that's what they call it. You just kind of grind it along the side to keep the blade sharp. But, as I was saying, it makes a whole lot of difference if you use a good sharp knife. It makes it a lot easier to know with confidence that you can cut your veggies up really nicely. This one's quite a short blade, so it's easier to kind of cut with something in your hand. As you can see, you can kind of pair it and cut it when you're holding it in one hand. It does make a huge amount of difference. Even if you're not very experienced at using knives, don't be afraid of getting a good knife. If anything, the confidence that knowing where you put your knife, it's going to go straight and clean through, it really helps with the technique, because you know that when you cut, you're not going to go sliding. The blade's not going to slide off whatever it is you're cutting into and cut into you instead. It's going to help you, and I really recommend it. It makes a world of difference for me, at least. And I am not the world's neatest. I'm not the world's best. I am very rustic. In fact, I am very rustic. That probably needs another slice, but it helps me wonders. Alright, so first things first, once you've got all your vegetables cut up and nicely diced and sliced up, you just want to be putting in your onions and your garlic and your peppers into a sautéing pan and just cooking them off. I quite favour just shoving it all in one big whack, if I'm totally honest, because I tend to find that your garlic burns very quickly if you are not careful. So I like to shove it all in one go and just let it all sauté and all the flavours blend into one nice mix. I'll shove the rest in a second. Can't do it one-handed, but you know, just keep it all nice and mixed up. If I can find a spatula, keep it all nice and mixed up. Make everything cook through a little bit. Just heat it all up in the pan, like I said. You want to keep going really until your peppers are soft. Your onions should be alright. To be perfectly honest, they should be alright. They shouldn't burn, but you'll want to keep the pan heat about medium, but definitely not too high, because you will begin to burn the garlic. The garlic burns unbelievably quickly if you have it on too high a heat. So I'm just going to let them cook through, and I've got them nice and mixed, and that should be fine. At the same time, if you're going to be using a meat-based product instead, so if you want to be doing a proper beef minced chilli, then I would recommend you start browning that off now. As it is, because I'm vegetarian, using vegetarian mince, it kind of literally just needs to be warmed up and it's ready to go. You can't really cook it or it goes dry and tough and completely tasteless. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to go across and we're going to start adding in our spices in about 10 minutes time when this is all cooked. Okay, so we're about 10 minutes on now. And the vegetables are sautéed off nicely, they're nice and soft, and I've just added in the veggie chilli mince to just brown off a little bit and get a bit of warmth in it. I'll just turn it up a little bit actually. So I thought it would be a pretty good time to talk about spice selection again. Now the ones that I'm using today, in this pot in particular, I can hold it up, it will zoom in. I've got a mixture of smoked paprika, thyme and garlic, and it's also got a few other things in it as well. It's got a bit of cumin, it's got a bit of marjoram, and it's got a bit of bay leaf as well, I believe. So this is quite a spicy little mix, this one, full of flavour, and it's got sea salt in as well, so it's my seasoning. It's all into one. It's just a blend that I really like to use before, and obviously you can add those in your own quantities if you like. It only needs a couple of pinches of this, if anything, because it's quite a potent mix. I'm also going to be using a Chipotle chili mix, because it's quite difficult to get your hands on Chipotle chilies these days, so this one's just a kind of blended mix mixed with a bit of I believe it's just a bit of tomato paste and a bit of sugar and white wine vinegar, yeah, and a tiny bit of garlic as well, and a few other things, but you know, there's Chipotle chili in there, so it's nice and smoky flavoured in that. I love these little cheaty things, I think they're wonderful, and I've already spoken about umami, the umami paste, which is your fifth sense of taste, that many people don't know about, but Japanese specialise in it, and like I said, that's got mushrooms in it, it's got miso, which is a seaweed based paste, really popular in Japanese cuisine, but it adds a bit of meaty and chunky flavours to food, which helps me when I'm a vegetarian. There's a bit of extra oomph to your food really. And the final thing that I'm going to add in as well is this fella. This is just some dried chili flakes, but I've got a really spicy blend myself. I'll just pour some out actually. Let me see. I got dried habanero flakes because I love my chili kick. I love heat. It's obviously heats to taste. It'll kill my poor mother. She'll hate me for it. But I love spicy things. So that's habanero there. I've been known to use butcher lock here as well a couple of times, and that's almost inedible in the best possible way. Inedible, but as a challenge. So I like to challenge myself with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and shove some of these in a nice little blend mix. And just give them a few minutes to all cook through a little bit and to infuse some flavour into what we've already got in the pan. And if you can't tell, what I've cleverly done is put this camera back on the tripod so you can actually see without me being too shaky what I'm doing. So, a bit of that, and last but not least, bit of umami paste as well. which looks a wonderful, wonderful colour and shade of Phwoaaaaar brown, if I'm totally honest. So adding all those in, give it a good swirl, good old mix, get all the flavours all mixed together. And sizzle away like no one's business. And you can see it's all coated in the bottom of the pan. There's plenty of flavour going in there, loads of smoky, good old charred flavours going on with it. And all that needs is literally a couple of minutes or even less just to infuse all the flavours into what's in the pan already, and them all blend, them all mix, and really kind of develop a bit of flavour. Alrighty, so the next part is just to add in your tin of tomatoes. Just give it all the mixture. Just give all moisture back into your mix, and also it's a good time to add in your kidney beans. I've just drained these, so there's a little bit of water still left at the bottom of it, but that's fine. It just adds a little bit extra. Put your beans in as well, and they all cook away with the tomatoes. And just get nice and soft, but it shouldn't be overcooked, so they shouldn't kind of break down. It should give a nice little bit of texture as well. And there we are. That's the next little part. And it's also a good time to add in the chunks of chocolate as well. Really good quality dark chocolate is your best bet. The darker the darker and the more cocoa content you have in it, the better. And it will really help to bring that colour of the chilli right down as well. Get a bit more heat on it. And I'll give it a lovely, lovely dark and thick kind of colour. I'm using about 3 chunks here because I want this one to be really creamy in flavour. You can use less if you don't really want any chocolate in it, or you can use more if you want even more deep cocoa flavours. It's really up to you. As I'm adding a porter in, a nice smoky porter, which hopefully has some chocolate flavours too, I don't need to use a huge amount. Right, so that's all mixed. The next challenge is to add in the porter. Now this is obviously bottle conditioned, as you can probably tell by the cork in it. Hey, popped first time. And a ton of smoke coming out the top as well. I'm not going to use a huge amount because there's quite a lot of liquid into the in the mixture anyway, so I'm going to zoom this back in again. A wonderful tripod, kind of keeping me stable. I decided to go back to using the tripod because if I'm walking around with things in my hands, you're not going to see a thing at all. But we'll work out a way as we go on. There's not a lot of liquid in, as you can probably tell. It's quite a thick mixture, deliberately so I can add in a ton of water. So I'm just going to pour all that on in there. Just get a nice coverage on stuff. So it's got lovely thickness, lovely and watery, and we can let that reduce down as it cooks. There we go. Oh, I cannot tell you, it looks wonderful and sludgy. Really, really thick and viscous. And that's going to just turn into the most deliciously thick and chunky chilli. I can almost guarantee it. I mean, the proof's in the pudding, so we'll see. Alrighty, so here is our fantastic chilli bubbling away nicely. Just finished doing the Bear Beer review of the Hospital Porter by the Meantime Brewery, which is what we are using to cook with today, and it was a fantastic beer. Really, really, really nice, luscious and chocolatey, nice peaty edge to it, nice smoky edge, which hopefully will go really well with the smoked paprika and the chipotle that we've got in here. And the final thing I'm going to do before popping the lid on it and let it finish simmering off until it's got a really nice thick consistency, which it already kind of has. Can you see how thick it is and how darker the colour has become from using the chocolate and also the porter? I'm just going to let it simmer away some more though, and kind of try and let it reduce down to all this watery little bits are kind of gone away, and it's really, really, really thickened up. Last thing I'm going to do then, before I pop the lid on and let it just bubble away, is add in fresh tomatoes, which I'll add in, spin around in a bit, just give it a quick stir, and also a good squidge of tomato puree. Again, one-handed skills, look at that, one-handed skills. Good squidge, maybe about a tablespoon. Again, I don't do precision measurements. I don't see the need to. Going to mix them on in. The tomatoes should hold up the shape because we're only going to cook this for maybe another 10-15 minutes to let it all bubble through. So the tomatoes should keep their shape quite nicely, but be quite soft and impart some of the flavours. and also the tomato puree just gives a little bit more depth, that tomatoey flavour to it, which is going to be dwarfed otherwise by the rest of the mahoosie flavours we popped in there. But that is essentially it. That is Jack's, Bear's recipe to making a chocolate, chipotle and porter chili. Really hope you enjoy it. Again, as before with the bread and the nuts recipes, completely adaptable to whatever you want to do it with. Chilies are that completely adaptable style anyway. You know, you can pop in anything into it, anything at all. You could put baked beans into this. That's a favourite of mine. When back in my student days, put some baked beans in, they give you the tomatoey sauce, a bit of sweetness, and your basis of beans. So you didn't have to go out buy kidney beans and kind of tomatoes and all that jazz. You could just kind of pop that in and then add chilies and spices into that and a bit of mince, and that would kind of get you started. So completely adaptable. But it's interesting to see the effect of the beer, which we'll hopefully see later. And you know, I really recommend spending some little bit of money on getting a nice beer to be able to use in it. And more importantly, one for you and one for the food. So get a couple of them. Help the craft beer world by buying a couple of good beers in. So we'll come back when we're doing a tasting. Maybe I'll even get my mum to do a little review of it and see what she thinks. And thank you once again for watching a Cooking with Bear / Bear beer review. Okay, so you've seen the final results of the chili that we'll be making. But what does it taste like? Does the beer actually give anything to the chili? So let's give it a shot. Oh, it's hot. I mean, apart from being mind-blowingly hot, in the typical bear fashion, I like my food hot. I can genuinely say the predominant flavour is chocolate malt. It really is. Give it a spoonful. It's a definite base layer of just that chocolate malt flavour. Lovely kind of smokiness coming through in the middle as well. See, you know, if that's imparted from the beer, I'd say it definitely adds, because obviously we're putting dark chocolate, we've also put in a lot of smoked paprika in several different forms, I might add. But the main flavour, the two constituent flavours I'm getting, dark chocolate malty flavour, and it's definitely a malty flavour. It tastes like the beer tastes, and a smokiness. And a sweet smokiness as well, I might add, that peaty sort of flavour. And then the other flavours I'm getting higher up on the register are obviously the chilies that we put in, and also paprika, which is kind of, you know, all the essential main ingredients of what we popped in there really. So, you know, the beer's really imparting, I would suggest, if the beer's not wholly imparting the flavours, it's really helping to raise them up and bring them upwards. And this is just another example of how beer is such a fantastic helper. That's my toast. Such a fantastic helper in cuisine. It's you know, people talk about pairing beers and food, and I really truly believe in it. I mean, they've just paired porter with the chili, a nice rich and thick and spicy chili. Add a porter in, which is rich and thick and chocolatey, and you've got a mole style chili going on. It's been a really nice afternoon cooking once again for Cooking with Bear, and I'll certainly continue and do some more. As of the last one, if you want to make a video response, if you want to make a comment, if you try out a recipe, obviously I'm not giving you out a recipe, I do mine all by ear, but it's just helping you to think in perhaps the way that I'm doing, thinking about different flavours like smokiness with smokiness and chocolatiness with chocolatiness, etc, etc. You know, leave me a message, see what you think, and tell me if you enjoyed it or not. I'm looking forward to my mum trying this one because it's gonna blow a palate out, but hopefully she'll appreciate it as well. I'm gonna have a nice glass of the remainder of the porter to go alongside it as well to kind of complement the flavours of it. So stay tuned. Cooking with Bear shall return in the near future, and Bear Beer reviews will be regular as always. Thank you ever so much for watching. Like, favourite, subscribe, and make sure you comment if you try this, or if you want to try it, if you have any suggestions of anything else to do that you want to see. I will cook meat stuff as well. It'll have to be my mummy that tastes it, but I'll cook meat products. I'll definitely do a barbecue glaze something or other at some point. So, thank you. See you later, guys.